Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Your voice still sounds rough.
It sounds worse than it feels.
Well, that's good.
I've been jumping out at the kids going, I'm Batman. And they think I'm nuts.
I gotta think. I keep thinking I'm gonna plan these out so much better. And then I don't.
Hey, what works for me is I wing it.
Yep. No, we've got a minute.
So
Okay.
speaking of which, so all the shows coming up March 17th to the 23rd are all going to be something to do with neurodiversity. It's Neurodiversity Week.
The week of March
7th
17th.
through the 23rd, there will be promos up everywhere.
Okay, and I saw you sent me a bunch of information about that, so that's perfect.
Yeah. It's scary once you start climbing in some of that. I had to stop reading it. So one of the things on Beth's show we're going to be talking about that week is detoxing and detoxing specifically for neurodiverse children and individuals. Fact
Which
and
can get
fiction.
dangerous.
On average, 10 children a week end up in the hospital due to detoxing over the counter things. And one of the things that really scared me is the new trend is, remember when sleeping sickness used to be a big thing?
Sleeping sickness?
It's an African disease. This was like
Around.
back like 100 years ago.
Oh
It's
no,
not
I don't.
talked about anymore. Well, there's a shot they give you for it that stimulates your brain. They're using that now, and it's actually in one of the things they sent you for autism because it tells you it can cure you.
Oh.
The problem is that you can only do 2 doses of that shot, and it's toxic after that.
And it's not, autism is not something that is to be cured necessarily. That's
You
not how that
overcome
works.
it, you don't cure it.
Yeah. So, all right, it is 12:02. Are you ready? Do we have an
We are
intro?
ready. Yepers. It is Wednesday. It is noon on the Eastern Seaboard, and it is Nutrition Matters with Beth. What is the great topic today?
I was thinking let's do detox diets in general.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
then we can do specific to neurodivergent folks in March when we get into the neurodivergent week. Because detox diets are a huge thing typically in January. I know we're in February now, and so sometimes I see people where they started something in January, it didn't work, and now they're looking for like the next thing, right?
Well, then
Um
detoxing is going to come up in March for spring break. Everyone's going to want to lose that weight really quick to fit into those swimsuits.
oh yeah. Yep, your 28-day detoxes, your 72-hour water fasts. Um there's so here's the thing is yes, your body is exposed to toxins every single day. That is just and what is toxic to humans may not be toxic to other animals. Like just think about there are house plants that are toxic to cats and dogs or even things like grapes are toxic to dogs, but humans can eat them. So just because it's toxic to one species doesn't mean it's toxic to all. So you can't, you have to keep that in mind. We are exposed to toxins every day. And your body has built-in mechanisms. So I want to go through what some of the detox diets are and then talk about what your body currently does all on its own that is detoxing you that you don't even know is happening. I feel like that's something that gets lost is our bodies are doing so many things that we don't have to put any thought into. It just runs that way, right? There are chemical reactions and processes running in your body all day long that you don't ever have to think about. They just happen. And general healthy eating gives your body the vitamins and minerals it needs to complete these tasks. So that's why it's important. So detoxes. When you Google it, it says a temporary dietary plan that aims to remove toxins from the body and improve overall health. So this is one of those things where it is temporary and you may get these great weight loss results. But they are also temporary because it's not something you're going to stay on for a long time. I've also had people that are like, well, I just want to jumpstart my weight loss and do this, and then I'll work on healthy eating. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, you're going to gain some of that weight back when you start eating actual food again. So more specifically, I feel like one of the big ones are like juice cleanses, where all you eat, but you're not eating, you're drinking. All you consume are fruit and vegetable juices for however long, right? And now you can even get these as like powders where you're only going to drink these powdered fruit and vegetable smoothies for however long it is. So when you're juicing, if anybody's ever used a juicer, you have all that pulp and stuff that comes out the side or back or wherever. That's all of your fiber. So yes, you're creating a very vitamin and mineral dense product by juicing, but you're missing out on all of those fibers that are coming out the side of the juicer. And that's part of the point of fruits and vegetables is to also increase your fiber intake. So you're missing a huge component of what makes them a healthy choice. Not to mention the juices aren't going to meet all of your needs. They just aren't. And so your body's going to start kind of doing like funny things to get its needs met. This is where if you're not consuming enough protein, you'll see some muscle breakdown so that your body has those building blocks to do other things. And that's not what you want. Whenever, and I know I've said this on here before, that not all weight loss is good weight loss. So you don't always know where it's coming from. And in this case, you're probably going to lose muscle mass as well as fat mass. And typically what we're looking for with weight loss is fat mass loss. So a lot of times these detox diets are weight loss focused, but sometimes it's focused on like, and by focused, I mean kind of like marketed more or less on like improving digestion or reducing bloating. And it can go either way, right? So if you're somebody that your bloating is because you have, say, like IBS, using a fruit and vegetable juices or smoothies might actually make your IBS symptoms worse. So it's not, there's no clear-cut answer for everybody, and nor are juice cleanses the answer, but it could actually be making your symptoms worse. And this is where if you're having issues, it's really good to seek out professional guidance to figure out what would be the best fit for you. I know some people I've seen people that do like the water fasts. So it's like a detox from food in general, and they're just having water for however many hours or days or whatnot. And I think I mentioned the water fast on here recently too, and I understand that sometimes it's done for religious reasons, and that's a completely different animal. Like it, and a lot of times with religious fasting, you can eat at certain times, like maybe after sunset, or there's also there's exceptions for religious fasting. Typically, I'm sure maybe there's ones that aren't, but from what I've always seen, all different religions, if there's fasting involved, there's also medical exceptions. And so, folks with diabetes or that are pregnant are typically exempt from this fasting because it's dangerous to them. Um, and so there is some like nuance involved even within religious fasting. But generally, if you're just drinking water for 72 hours, which is 3 days, you've got people that will say that they feel like super awake and energized and things like that. And it's not like I don't remember the exact mechanism of why it happens, but it's your brain tricking you, essentially. You don't actually have increased energy at all. It's your brain basically like smoothing it over and trying to help you survive and not be completely miserable. Um, so when you do things like that, where there's this extreme restriction in the name of a detox, you're actually slowing down your metabolism because your body's job is to survive. And so if you're taking in fewer calories, and I'm not talking about like one day, for a longer period of time, like say you're doing something for a week or 28 days or something, your metabolism will slow down. That's just because you're putting in fewer calories. It's going to get really conservative with how it's doing things, it being your body. And going to see, you're not going to see long lasting results if the detox diet is weight loss focused. Say it's like improved digestion focused, like I was saying about like, okay, well, that doesn't work if you have IBS and you're feeling bloated because of that, it can actually make it worse. um it's that needs to be watched too, because you can also have too much of a good thing, because I've seen some people that do like add in a bunch of fiber for their detox when it's about improving digestion or gut health or things like that. And too much fiber, especially the forms that you typically find in fiber supplements, is going to cause gas and bloating and probably abdominal cramping. So it's not going to be comfortable at all, and might make you feel worse. And it's really this search for like a quick fix that doesn't exist. There's other ones that I have seen listed when I look up detoxes, like a whole food detox where you only eat whole foods, so fruits and vegetables and whole grains and I'm like, that's just a general healthy diet, but it's been marketed as a whole food detox. Um so there is some of this that is definitely marketing based. Um there's detox teas, there's detox supplements. I was actually gonna look and see. A lot of times the detox teas are um like a laxative based, so it clears you out, and then you have the feeling that you have been detoxed, but really it's just making you go to the bathroom.
So
Um,
essentially, it's a colon cleanse.
yeah, not quite as bad. Anybody that's actually had to prep for a colonoscopy, it's not nearly that bad. Um, but that would be, yeah, it's very similar. You're just clearing it all out. Like you didn't actually do anything. And now this is not to say um that like de some sort of detox isn't like sometimes necessary. I'm trying to think because you can have things like heavy metal poisoning is a real thing, but that is not something you're going to fix on your own. That is something that you need to go and have a licensed healthcare professional that can write medical orders, actually test for, and oversee your treatment plan. Um, and that's like a very serious condition. It's not something that you're going to fix with a tea that you bought at Whole Foods or
Or a
whatever grocery
T-stream
store.
that you buy
What?
off of Amazon.
Yeah. Um yeah, you're not going to fix it on your own. And there are protocols for fixing it that a doctor will do um that you're not going to do. So, and this is like you also would probably know if you were exposed to heavy metals. I mean, maybe not, but especially things like lead and mercury um, are things that public health initiatives have really worked to keep away from, particularly small children who put more things into their mouth. Um, but
Which is why
it,
your children get tested at a certain age.
yeah. And so also, this is weird. I was just talking about this the other day too, over the weekend. My kid's dad, I mean, he might still, but used to reload bullets. Um, and that it uses lead. And so when I was pregnant, I had to go for extra lead testing. And then the kids got extra lead testing right after they were born because he was very, very careful. He did it in a detached garage, always washed his hands, was like, changed his clothes, really was very careful to make sure that, um, like any kind of lead residue wasn't going to get near me or the baby. But just in case, my healthcare professionals made sure to do extra testing to make sure that myself and the kids didn't have high levels of lead. So there is, yeah, um, there are tests for this. It is something that's watched. It is something that you would want to be very careful about because you can have heavy metal toxicity, but you can also very much be tested for that. It's not something you're going to self-diagnose. Um, I live in a house with lead paint, um, and so it's about knowing what's around you and how to handle it. And so specifically for lead paint, like I can't sand anything because then I would be creating lead dust that we're all going to breathe in or get on our food or our hands, and then we're going to get it in our mouths and we'll end up with lead poisoning. Um, which has brought up some interesting issues because there were spots where it was flaking. And it used to be an issue where kids would eat those big flakes of paint that came off and end up with lead poisoning. Um, and there's a
Well, even
whole,
kids that would sit at like windowsills, they'd always have their mouth on it
yeah,
when they're looking out the window.
for sure, exactly. And there's a whole like protocol for how to handle that chipped paint. And there's a special like paint sealant that goes over it so it stops chipping. I don't know. I rent this place from my parents, so that's my dad's problem. Whenever that happens, I get to just hand it off, which is very nice. But I do know, and we had to be very aware that like we fixed up it was peeling on the ceiling of my daughter's room, and like the room had to be completely plasticed off while he was scraping pieces off to make sure that they didn't get tracked around the house and things like that. So these are real, but it's about knowing what's around you. Mercury, they've taken, so it's not as commonly found in your house anymore like it used to be. So thermostats, the things that we use to control the temperature of our house, used to have mercury in them. Any kind of thermometer, because mercury is very sensitive to temperature changes, and so it would, that's what would be used to click on the heat when it got to a certain temperature, or well, thermometers as well, but your old school glass thermometers, they did change to, I forget what the red stuff is that they ended up using, but used to be mercury, and it was this silver mercury inside a glass thermometer, and the mercury would rise as it got warm, and go up and show your fever or temperature, whatever it was. And so we've done away with those. So there's not as much of an exposure. You still get, oh no, that's lead, never mind. I mean, you can, I guess, still find those things, or if you're doing some sort of work that involves exposure to mercury, but in terms of just like general household exposures, that's something that's been done away with, which is helpful overall of preventing these um heavy
The
metal
only place you're
toxicities,
going to
heavy metal
find
poisonings.
mercury in thermometers are your weather thermometers,
Like outdoor ones?
outdoor ones. They still use them because of how sensitive they are, but otherwise your mouth thermometers are glass or alcohol.
Yeah, oh, it's alcohol. Yeah. Um and it's, I mean, mine are all digital. Even my outdoor thermometer, it's digital and like then displays inside on a screen. So I feel like so much is, I don't know, maybe there's mercury. I doubt there's mercury in there. I'd have to go look. But
No, these
again,
are the actual like glass thermometers that they
yeah.
you used to see outside everywhere. Everyone used to have them hanging up on the side of their house.
And people still have them. Like that's the thing, is a lot of this stuff, it still exists. It's just not necessarily as common, but it's still out there for sure. Um I'm trying to think of what other people think that they'd have to detox from. Oh, it's kind of gross, but a lot of people do like, well, essentially like colon cleanses, thinking that they have like a parasite or things that they need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Um, or like coffee enemas, um, things like that. And again, it's not necessarily something that you need. And they can be overdone. Especially things like enemas. You can get to a point where you've done too much and start to damage the tissue. And you wipe away the good bacteria that's supposed to be in there too. Um, so those are the ones where it flushes out with an enema and things. Those are called colonics. Um, and that's not, it's something that is available to the general public, like you can just go and get this done, but you have to talk to your doctor first, and this is where I feel like a lot of people don't tell their primary care doctor about like alternative treatments and things that they're doing, but they're extremely important to disclose because um, it can impact like how well you absorb medications. It could be causing other problems that you know are seeing them for a problem, and it's because you keep doing a colonic every week or something, and that's like, so it's always important to tell them everything you're doing, and this is going to get so much more important too, because now we've got easy access to things like IV drip bars. right? Where you could just go have an IV placed and get an infusion of not just like what's called lactated ringers, where it's pretty much just like rehydrating you. You can get like different vitamins and different like they're called cocktails, but it's not cocktails like you're thinking of. Uh, but different mixes of things. And it's not, I don't know, it's not always a safe choice. You should always be checking with your own primary care doctor before you start doing those things instead of self-treating. We've got all this access to self-treatment or like biohacking and things like that, but it's important to remember that you don't have a medical degree, or if you do, I mean, that's fine, that's different, but you don't. So even if, I mean, I'm definitely intrigued by IV bars. As somebody who's been hospitalized for dehydration, getting rehydrated feels amazing. However, I haven't done it because I would want to talk with my doctor first. And see what, like, if it's an okay thing to do for me specifically, right? Because remember, your primary care doctor isn't trying to sell you something, or should not be trying to sell you something. And they would be able to tell you, like, okay, here are the ones that would be safe for you, or please don't do any of those because it's a bad idea. It's versus a lot of these, I guess, clinics, if you will, that do these infusions and do the IV bags will tell you all about the different options that they have and what they say that these things do for you. But remember, that's all marketing. Their job is to get you in a chair hooked up to an IV to make money. So, it's important to look at why people are doing certain things.
Now, question for you.
Yeah.
So, people who do these things in absence of a healthy diet, like they'll binge on crap and then do the detoxes to get out of doing the healthy world. How much effect does that have on our bodies?
It's
So I
you're
think back
not
of like when I get sick, worse than I
it
am now.
it's not it's not an alternative to a general healthy diet. Um so it's not like you can I don't want to say like the damage that you're doing with a poor diet, right? But essentially, like for just a way to explain it, like if you have a really poor diet and it's very low fiber, high in added sugars, low protein, low in vitamins and minerals, you can't undo that with a detox and like and getting, you can't undo it with a detox, I guess, is the simplest answer. I guess technically it's a loophole. If you're not using any vitamins and minerals, you can supplement, um, either orally or intravenously, so with an IV. But there's a reason that we go for food first. I'm also thinking of, now that we're going this direction with it, I'm thinking a little bit through the lens of like, I lecture for pharmacy students in their nutrition and endocrine course. And so we talk about the different levels of intervention and when to use oral supplements versus IV, pill versus liquid, things like that. And you want to try to use an oral supplement or food as much as possible, um, before moving to an IV form. So this even goes with like medications when I'm talking to them. I'm like, if you have some GI function and can use oral medication over IV medication, that's always the preferred route. Um, and so when we're talking about general healthy eating for the general population, generally everybody still has their full bowels intact, right? Like you haven't had pieces of them removed. You still have your colon, like all of these things. And so you would want to still be eating, or I guess second best, if you will, taking a multivitamin rather than getting these nutrients through a needle in your arm. Anytime you're puncturing yourself like that and putting something in, you have an increased risk of infection that wasn't there before. And those do happen, as much as everyone tries to prevent it. Any kind of care provider is going to try to prevent it. Those things can happen. It's always a risk. And that's something that definitely needs to be thought out. You don't get to do whatever you want and eat horrible and then make up for it with whatever, like supplements or somebody like it always makes me think of people that have like 3 slices of pizza for lunch and are like, oh, I'll have a salad for dinner. I'm like, nobody's weighing it out like that. Your body doesn't weigh it out like that. You're like when I look at food logs, and especially with like the Eat Love platform that I use for food logging and meal planning, I look at it over the course of it, ideally at least 7 days. And so if you kind of try to like make up for what you ate, so say you had the day where you had 3 slices of pizza for lunch and then had a salad for dinner, you're going to end up low on protein. And depending on how often you do that over the course of those 7 days, it's going to show up that, hey, you're kind of out of whack here. Like your calories are probably too low, your protein's too low. And it's not going to balance out. Now, if you do it once, does it matter? No, probably not. It's when you're doing something repeatedly that it starts to have an effect on that food log, which is why I look at the average of 7 days to kind of see how it's going overall and then drill down into specifics. And actually the Eat Love platform's cool because I can look at almost anything you could ever want to ask for, how it's going, like different vitamins and minerals and whether or not you're meeting your needs, as well as like protein, carbs, fat, calories, fiber, how often you're eating fruits and vegetables. It's pretty cool. But the point was, it's an average. So you can't it's not weighed out. There's no scale of like, oh, well, I did really bad, but if I do really good, it'll be fine. And it doesn't have the same components. So like how I was saying with like, they're not called juice powders, but that's what I think of them as, like fruit and vegetable powders that you can use as part of like a detox or as a supplement or something. That's not the same as eating the fruit or vegetable. It doesn't have the fiber component, just like I talked about with the juicing. And it also, the way that fruits and vegetables are made, developed, whatever, they work best when you eat the whole item, right? So I remember there was a study with tomatoes, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it on here, that you get more of the antioxidant benefits from the tomato if you eat a whole tomato, rather than if they extract that antioxidant and give it as a supplement. It's something about the way that it interacts with the other things, other vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and things that are within the tomato, to give you the most antioxidant benefit. That's a word that floats around a lot in the detox space too, or antioxidants, and like, oh, am I getting a blend of antioxidants and things like that? And really, what you want are very darkly colored, so very richly colored fruits and vegetables will have antioxidants in them. And that's not, well, I mean, some of them are vitamins, but for the most part, they're just a different type of nutrient. It doesn't have like a different calorie amount or anything. Same way we wouldn't think about like the calories from vitamin C content or something like that. And these antioxidants are helpful and are something that you should be having regularly just to help your body function well. We hear a lot about them, I feel like, during like cold and flu season for their immune boosting properties. But it's something you would want to have all the time. There are always free radicals in your body. So it's like an extra electron floating around that doesn't really need to be there. And the antioxidants help to clean it up, is a really simple way to think about it. And so it's yeah, so you want to definitely make sure that you're including them all the time, not just if you're doing like a week-long cleanse of some kind or like a detox.
So, question for you. So,
Yeah.
antioxidants, we're supposed to eat them, but a lot of people buy like the skincare products that contain antioxidants because they think they can absorb them the same way.
So you can absorb things transdermally, so through your skin. Because I've had people that do like vitamin patches and things too. So it can help, and it can, like, depending on what it is, if it's something where you are looking to treat the surface of the skin, it could have better outcomes. Um, I'm just thinking of like a vitamin C serum where it's got, I mean, I'm definitely not an esthetician at all or a dermatologist, but I would think that that would help anything that's on the surface of your skin, or say like retinol, which is a vitamin A derivative. That is something that you apply directly to your skin, because that's where you want the benefits. And that actually is a great example of that is the way you want to take it rather than ingesting it. Although I think you can, because that's where you want to see the benefits occur.
We went and got lotion for the kids, and I just see all like antioxidants and all these different vitamins in your lotions, and I'm like trying to figure out, whoa, do I want to spend that extra money? Is it worth it, or is it just
Um, I mean, it's a lot of marketing. Vitamin E is very, very good for your skin and helping it to retain moisture. Vitamin A is the one that helps with like wrinkles and dark spots, but you have to watch your exposure to that if like you're around young children or trying to get pregnant or are pregnant, things like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, like a vitamin E serum or a lotion with vitamin E, or sometimes you'll see like lotion with oatmeal in it. And oat is actually extremely soothing to the skin, especially for people with eczema. So, um, that's not an antioxidant or a detox, but it is a skincare product. And so that can be super helpful. Um, but like it's one of those things where it can um help, but then also some of it is um marketing. But you do absorb things through your skin. Um that is absolutely true. I wonder, now you're going to send me down a rabbit hole because I'm
what I
thinking of
always
like, I'm just wondering if um like fat, anything that's got some sort of like lipid emulsion to it might be better absorbed through the skin. So, well, like lotion, right? How it's sort of oily. Um, Interesting. I will absolutely be falling down this rabbit hole later. In terms of like what's more hydrating. Huh. Um, so detox. I said in the beginning, I would also talk about how your body detoxes itself without you having to do a special juice cleanse or a special like detox protocol or a certain vitamin or certain tea or anything like that. You have, I'm pulling up exactly what I want to say, but you have a liver and you have kidneys. So those are made to filter out stuff, for lack of a better word, at home. So they filter out the waste products. Your kidneys filter out the waste from your blood and then send it out as pee. And that's their function, is to filter your blood. And drinking enough water, you can drink too much. So like, let's not take this the other direction, but drinking enough water helps them function well and helps them to do their job and filter out those waste products. So you have kidneys, you have a very distinct way to be detoxing your blood, and which is super important. And then your liver is also a place to where your body like processes and excretes waste products. I wanted like a really simple, not a liver cleanse. Oh my gosh, there are liver detoxes.
Yep. There's a detox for everything.
Jeez. So if you're looking for a kidney detox, just drink enough water.
That and cranberry.
Um,
But you
so
gotta make sure
cranberry,
it's 100% cranberry juice.
yeah, cranberry is really helpful in UTI prevention, right? So that's looking at like your bladder and your urethra. And I was doing some reading on this specifically, and this is somewhere where supplements are actually better. The cranberry pills are extremely concentrated, and that is just easier than the amount of cranberry juice you need to drink to have like a really good effect. So for somebody that's worried about like UTIs and bladder infections and then even kidney infections, the cranberry pills are something that you could certainly look into.
I take them regularly because I get constant. I've always had kidney issues and I always get infections.
Yeah, that is
And
not comfortable.
no, and the doctors before pills came out, I was told to drink cranberry juice every day. Now I do the pills.
Yeah. So your liver does so much and can also regrow itself. So if you want to know my favorite organ, it is the liver. I know that's odd. Um, so actually, there are quite a few medications that are broken down in the liver as well. And so your liver does a lot of breaking down of substances and then filtering out waste products. Some of it they send through your blood to the kidneys to be further processed out. It also it helps to break down fats and remove waste products with the bile that it creates, and it also helps to it produces different cells that help to like break down bacteria and kind of clean up any cell waste product. These are all things that happen without us doing anything. We don't have to do anything for this. It's just happening. It's also where like any red blood cells that have broken down, because they have a life cycle and eventually they break down, they get filtered out here as well. So there's a lot of stuff that happens, and so it's creating waste that leaves through both exit methods of the body, right? Solid byproduct or through urine. And you can do things that you don't need to detox your liver. You can do things that support your liver health. This would be like eating like essential fatty acids that your body doesn't make. So think like fatty fish and things like that. Eating fruits and vegetables so that you're getting antioxidants to help support that like cellular waste cleanup. Some people get what's called fatty liver, where you have an extra layer of fat around your liver. It used to be primarily referred to as like alcoholic fatty liver disease or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease based on the involvement of alcohol in the issue. And that's something where there are like herbal and vitamin type remedies that can help, but I'm treading super carefully because you always want to check with other medication interactions. And I wouldn't want somebody to like listen to this and be like, oh, good. So I have fatty liver. I'm going to take this supplement and I'll be fine. It's like, full stop. You need to make sure that it's not interacting with anything else that you're taking. Um, and and then go for it. So it's important to always take a look at the big picture of everything that's happening with your body. Um, I've had people where my entire visit with them is just running through their like medication and supplement list and cutting out things that are duplicative, because they're like, oh, well, I bought this because it said it was good for my heart. And I bought this because it says it's good for my liver. And I'm like, those are the same thing, just marketed differently. Like, so definitely take a step back, see why you're taking it, bring it to your doctor or whoever your primary care provider is, and look through it and see if it's actually going to help. And making sure that it's not interacting with something else that you're taking, or does it need to be spaced out from other things you're taking? Because that's something that happens too. Like certain supplements shouldn't be taken together, or certain medications shouldn't be taken with like grapefruit juice. And so if you're making juices and you're using grapefruits and you're taking a medication that can't be taken with grapefruit juice, you need to be aware of those things. Your pharmacist is actually another really good resource for medication interactions, because remember, that is their whole job, is to know medications and their interactions and their dosages and their impact on the body. So they are a absolute wealth of information. But you have detox methods already built into your body. And yes, if you have a toxicity, you probably need some help. But generally speaking, for just your regular day-to-day contact with dirt and life, your kidneys and your liver are enough. We've developed really well into these human forms that have these methods for keeping us alive and sustaining us. That's, like I even said already today, like your body's whole purpose is to just stay alive.
You forgot
Um,
one natural detox tool:
oh, what?
sweat, exercise,
Yes.
saunas.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, you sweat out so much. I think maybe it's because I'm so cold. Um, so you can lose, um, not necessarily toxins through sweat, but it can help get. It's really more a function of a like temperature regulation. So you'll sweat out some stuff, and I know some people use like saunas to kind of like detox, but it's not. I wonder. Hang on, I'm looking at this. A study on if. Oh yeah. You can sweat out heavy metals. Dynamic exercise in the sauna. You definitely need to check with your doctor before you start any of this because um uh they say like check with your doctor before starting a new exercise routine. Same thing goes for something like a sauna where you're going to be sweating excessively. If you're somebody that has trouble maintaining a good um electrolyte balance or fluid balance, you would definitely want to be very, very aware of how long you're spending in there, if it's a safe choice for you. Like, I already need so much salt that a sauna, while it feels phenomenal, is not a great choice for me. Um,
That and when you sweat salt out your body, it hurts. It's like little needles.
it's a lot of salt leaving your body.
When you're in the military, especially like infantry units or people that do a lot of physical work, when you go through marches or different events, you're salted up so that you don't sweat as much and you stay hydrated. And when you start to sweat, you can feel it. It is just the worst thing in the world.
That sounds really, really painful.
It's little needles.
They haven't found a way, like, what, like, not a way to get around that, but like maybe not salt up as much? Or does the benefit of doing all that salt beforehand outweigh the discomfort of sweating out the salt?
It outweighs it just for the fact that how much water, like you think of being in the desert, it's 120 degrees. How much water you would have to bring with you on your body to accommodate
Yeah.
how much. So it offsets that a little bit, especially because you don't know when you're going to refill up. That and the risk of dehydration, heat stroke, things like that is just not worth it.
That's yeah. I mean, I would rather have very uncomfortable sweat than to have a heat stroke. So I could definitely see that. Um,
It's not fun. I've been there twice.
Having heat stroke?
Yeah.
What do they do if you're in the middle of the desert and you have a heat stroke?
You are in what we call an ice bath. So they strip you of your underwear and they drop you in a water bucket or in like basically like a cot full of water and ice.
What do they just carry that with them, or they ship you like drive you
They
out of
have
the desert?
they have um they come and get you out and then they drop you in there to drop your core temperature down right away. They
Yeah,
literally just dump water on you. It is not a fun experience.
that's that's terrifying actually.
And then you get into a lot of trouble because it's your fault.
I don't. God, I would never do well in that environment. This is. I don't know if I ever told you, Mary, but my dad, like, I remember at one point considering going into the military, and my dad was like, "You won't do well." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Dad."
Don't feel bad. My husband says that a lot too. Like he'll say, like, I wish I would have been. I go, you wouldn't have survived. You wouldn't have made it.
I
And he
just
gets
don't. I
mad.
don't do well.
You do better than you think, but you're trained. So, like, you're
Yeah.
going in boot camp through all these marches. You're doing all these monotonous tasks over and over again to just get you in that mindset. So you're
Yeah.
prepared for just about anything. It just, the year I went to boot camp was like the hottest year on record in Virginia.
Oof.
And so it was like 100 and something, and it sucked. And you're in full gear at boot camp.
I'm just looking, this is actually kind of an interesting study about how much is excreted.
Kind of
Reported from the,
disgusting when you start looking at it, ain't it?
no, it's really hard to gross me out. Yeah. But this is again like you don't want to try these things without checking with your doctor first. What did I want to look at? Oh, I wanted to see what was in a detox tea. Oh, here's an everyday detox. It's not, you just don't, it's not letting me look at it closer. Yeah. It's always good to check first for any interactions and then and recognize that your body is detoxifying itself every day, and the more that you can support it by feeding it well, the better it's able to do its job. I think would be the big takeaway from detoxes. And if you think you have some sort of toxicity that needs to be detoxed, you need to go to a doctor. um and get evaluated for that toxicity. I remember there was somebody that actually, it must have been in the last year, that we had a guest call in that I told that they should probably go get tested for, I believe it was selenium toxicity. Right? I think that's what it was. Because she was eating so many Brazil nuts every day, which, like, they're very good for you, but you only need like 2 every day. And that's plenty. And so I was like, you need to go to a doctor and get tested for selenium toxicity because of just the number and frequency with which she was eating these. And you can you can get treated for it, but you would need to, and sometimes all you have to do to get rid of it is just stop eating them for a while and let your body detoxify itself and get it out. But they do happen. These things happen where you reach toxic levels and toxic intake levels, and that was done through whole food. So say somebody's on like a whole food cleanse or something and are eating like 5 Brazil nuts a day, like that's way more than you need, but you are eating a whole food, and you're eating something that's good for you. You're just having too much of it. I was looking for.
And remember to read all your ingredients because, like, supplements are not regulated in the US by the FDA.
No, they sure aren't.
Which is why Canada is a good place to get your supplements from because they're highly regulated.
Yeah, but now you're going to pay a tariff.
Now, yeah. Not for long, but yeah.
So think through your supplement choices. You got to really want it. We're almost at time. I did change. Usually I do mention my my Instagram handle on here. I did change it. And
You
now
should put it in the chat.
yeah, let me put it in the chat. And there are 2 underscores in it so that I could get it the way I wanted. So evolve __DN. Does it matter if things are capitalized? Do we know?
I don't.
It's like this.
We'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, that is the new handle on Instagram. I'm obviously still in the Optimize My Life Facebook group for chats there. Always open to topic ideas and things like that.
And actually, because of we are going to be creating a whole new community in Nyler Network. It's kind of like a Facebook and a circle put together.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal platform. It's up and coming. And so I'm working on setting
Cool.
that up. And Beth, I'll send you the information so you can set up your business on there as well for free.
Okay. Yeah, send it to me.
We're part of the beta program getting it up and running, so
Yeah, I'd love to be part of it and check it out. All right. Well, thank you.
so join us next week on Wednesday at noon. Linda will be back. In the meantime, she's in our prayers and she said she's doing
Yeah.
well.
Good, good. I hope she feels better soon.
At least she'll have a voice if she comes back. So
You did great.
join us the week of the 17th to the 23rd March, and it's our Neurodiversity Week. And have a good day, have a good night, and see you back here on Friday at noon.
All right. Bye.
Bye for now.